The notification lit up my phone screen as I sat in my corner office reviewing quarterly reports. A simple banking alert that would change everything. Withdrawal of $247,856.32 from joint account ending in 4721. I stared at the numbers, my coffee growing cold beside my laptop. James had finally done it. After months of suspicious behavior and thinly veiled lies, my husband of 12 years had made his move. My name is Rebecca Chen, and at 38, I'm a senior financial analyst at one of Boston's top investment firms. I've spent my career helping others protect and grow their assets. Ironic that my own husband thought he could outsmart me when it came to money. The text came moments later, dripping with smug satisfaction. Goodbye, dear. Thanks for funding my fresh start. Enjoy being broke. I took a slow sip of coffee, allowing myself a small smile. James always did underestimate me. He thought I was just the quiet, reliable wife who handled the bills and kept our beautiful colonial home running smoothly while he pursued his entrepreneurial dreams. Dreams that somehow always seemed to require more of our money while producing zero results. What he didn't know was that I'd seen this coming over a year ago. The late nights at networking events that never aligned with any actual business contacts. The mysterious expenses that he couldn't quite explain. The way he'd started asking more questions about our investments and accounts, showing sudden interest in our financial portfolio after years of leaving it all to me. Setting my coffee down, I pulled up my email and clicked on a folder labeled Insurance Documentation. Inside were dozens of screenshots and recordings I'd been gathering. Every suspicious transaction, every questionable receipt, every document where James had practiced forging my signature. I'm thorough by nature. It's what makes me good at my job. But the real insurance policy was something James would never think to look for. He was too arrogant, too convinced of his own cleverness to imagine that his quiet, dutiful wife had outmaneuvered him long before he made his move. Everything okay? My assistant Sarah poked her head in, concern etched on her face. You've been staring at your phone for a while. I nodded, slipping my phone into my desk drawer. Just fine. Actually, could you clear my afternoon? There are some personal matters I need to handle. The drive home felt surreal. 12 years of marriage ending with a text message and an emptied bank account. I should have been devastated, but all I felt was a strange sense of calm. I'd had months to process this, to accept that the man I married wasn't who I thought he was. Our house was exactly as I'd left it that morning, immaculate and ordered, every surface gleaming. James had always complained about my obsession with keeping everything in its place. He never understood that my need for order wasn't about appearances, it was about control. I walked directly to my home office, my heels clicking against the hardwood floors. The leather chair creaked as I sat down and opened my laptop. Time to set things in motion. First, I pulled up the footage from the hidden camera I'd installed in our home office 6 months ago. There he was, James, hunched over my desk at 3 a.m. last night, practicing my signature repeatedly on a stack of papers. The timestamp would be useful later. Next, I logged into my private email account, one James knew nothing about, and sent a pre-written message to my lawyer, Angela. We prepared for this contingency weeks ago, all the paperwork ready to go. The evidence was overwhelming. Forged signatures, unauthorized transfers, documented infidelity with his much younger business partner, Megan. My phone buzzed again. Another text from James. Don't bother trying to fight this. I covered my tracks. By the time you figure out what happened, Megan and I will be starting our new life together. I actually laughed out loud at that one. James was so focused on covering his tracks that he never stopped to look for mine. What he didn't know was that the joint account he just emptied was exactly what I wanted him to find. The real money, nearly $2 million from my yearly bonuses and investments, was safely tucked away in accounts he couldn't touch. I'd been quietly moving it for months, a little at a time, too gradually for him to notice. The doorbell rang, startling me from my thoughts. Through the security camera feed, I saw Angela standing on the porch, her briefcase in hand. Right on time. I came as soon as I got your email, she said as I let her in. Everything's ready to file. Are you sure you want to do this today? I led her to the kitchen, putting on a pot of coffee. No time like the present. He's probably on his way to the airport right now, feeling very pleased with himself. Angela pulled out a thick folder of documents. The forensic accountant's report is damning. The forged signatures. The unauthorized transfers, he's not just looking at a divorce, Rebecca. This is fraud. I know. I sat down across from her, smoothing my skirt. But first, let's focus on freezing his accounts. All of them. The ones he thinks I don't know about. I pulled out my own folder, bank statements, account numbers, detailed records of every hidden account James had opened over the past year. My husband wasn't nearly as clever as he thought he was, especially not with a wife who had access to some of the best financial investigators in Boston. How long have you known? Angela asked, leafing through the documents with raised eyebrows. About the affair? Almost a year. About his plan to clean out our accounts? I suspected for months. He started asking too many questions about our finances, wanting to know exactly how much we had and where it was all kept. I poured us each a cup of coffee. He thought he was being subtle. Angela shook her head. Men like James never expect their wives to be 2 steps ahead. They're so convinced of their own brilliance that they don't see what's right in front of them. She wasn't wrong. James had spent our entire marriage treating me like I was just the dutiful wife who kept his life running smoothly. He forgot, or never bothered to notice, that I was the one who handled all our finances, who built our investment portfolio, who quietly turned his mediocre salary into a comfortable nest egg through careful planning and smart investments. My phone buzzed again. Another notification, this time from my private investigator. James and Megan had just checked in for a flight to Bermuda. First class, naturally. He was burning through my hard-earned money already. Should we tell him the accounts are frozen? Angela asked, a slight smile playing at her lips. I stirred my coffee thoughtfully. Not yet. Let him get to Bermuda first. Let him try to check into that luxury resort he booked. That's when we'll spring the trap. As Angela and I spent the next few hours going through paperwork, I couldn't help but think about how different reality was from what James imagined. He thought he was leaving me destitute, running off into the sunset with his young girlfriend and my life savings. Instead, he was walking into a carefully laid trap, one that would snap shut the moment he tried to access any of that money. The joint account he drained, that was barely a fraction of our true worth. The real assets were safe, protected, and completely out of his reach. One more thing, Angela said as she packed up her briefcase. Are you sure you want to stay in the house? You could move, start fresh somewhere else. I looked around at the home I'd spent 12 years building. Every piece of furniture, every artwork on the walls, every carefully chosen detail had been my choice, my vision. No, I said firmly. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. James is the one who's going to learn what it means to start over from nothing. As Angela left, I poured myself a glass of wine and settled onto the patio, watching the sun set over our perfectly manicured backyard. In a few hours, James would land in Bermuda, ready to start his new life. Instead, he'd find himself stranded in a foreign country with frozen accounts and mounting legal troubles. I picked up my phone and typed out a single message. Thanks for making this so easy. Enjoy Bermuda. Then I blocked his number and turned back to watch the sunset. The real fireworks would start tomorrow, but for now, I had a quiet evening ahead of me. For the first time in months, I felt truly at peace. This was just the beginning of James's rude awakening, and I was finally ready to show him exactly who he'd underestimated. The first panicked call came at exactly 6:42 a.m. the next morning, not from James, but from his sister Karen. I watched my phone vibrate across the kitchen counter as I sipped my morning coffee, her name flashing urgently on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering, keeping my voice carefully neutral. Hello? Rebecca, what did you do? Karen's voice was shrill, accusatory. James is stranded in Bermuda. The hotel won't let them check in. None of his cards are working, and... Them? I interrupted softly. Oh, you mean James and Megan, his 26-year-old mistress. I wasn't aware you knew about her, Karen. The line went quiet for a moment. Then, more subdued. He said you were being unreasonable about the money, that you were controlling and he needed to get away. I couldn't help but laugh. Is that what he told you? Did he mention forging my signature, draining our joint account? The months he spent planning to leave me with nothing. He wouldn't. Karen's voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping in. Check your email, I said calmly. I sent you something 10 minutes ago. Take a look, and then we can continue this conversation. I heard the faint sound of typing, then a sharp intake of breath. I'd sent her the video footage of James practicing my signature, along with bank statements showing his systematic theft over the past months. "Oh my God," Karen whispered. "Rebecca, I had no idea." No one did. That's exactly what James counted on. He thought he was so clever, Karen. He never imagined I was 10 steps ahead of him. After hanging up with Karen, I opened my laptop to check my emails. My lawyer had been busy. Notifications from various banks confirming frozen accounts, pending fraud investigations, and holds on any further transactions. James wouldn't be able to access a penny without setting off more red flags than a military parade. I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when my phone lit up again, this time with a call from an unknown Bermuda number. "James." "Where is it?" he snarled, not bothering with a greeting. "What did you do with the money?" "Good morning to you too," I replied, keeping my voice light. "How's Bermuda? I hear the weather's lovely this time of year." "This isn't funny, Rebecca. We're stuck here with no access to anything. The hotel won't let us check in without a valid card, and every single account is frozen." I could hear Megan in the background, her voice high and panicked. The reality of their situation was finally sinking in. "That's unfortunate," I said, examining my nails. "Almost as unfortunate as discovering your husband has been forging your signature and planning to steal your life savings." "You can't prove anything," he snapped, but I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. "Actually, I can prove everything, James. The video footage of you practicing my signature, the documented transfers, the hidden accounts you opened. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? I'm a financial analyst. It's literally my job to spot things like this." There was a long pause. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, taking on that cajoling tone he'd always used when he wanted something. "Becca, honey, let's talk about this. We can work something out. Like you worked things out with Megan, planning to leave me penniless while you ran off together." I took a sip of coffee. "No, I don't think we'll be working anything out. But my lawyer would love to talk to you. She's very interested in discussing the criminal implications of forgery and fraud." "You're bluffing," he said, but I could hear the fear creeping into his voice. "Check your email, James. I sent everything to your sister Karen this morning. The video footage, the bank records, all of it. How long do you think it will take for everyone to know exactly what you tried to do?" The line went quiet except for Megan's increasingly panicked questions in the background. "James? James, what's going on? What are we going to do?" "One more thing," I added, enjoying the silence on his end. "That joint account you emptied. The one you thought contained all our money. That was just what I wanted you to find. The real assets, my bonuses, our investments, everything we built over the years. They're all safe in accounts you can't touch. I've been moving them for months." You can't," he sputtered. "I can, and I did. You spent so much time planning your great escape that you never stopped to think that I might be planning too. The difference is my plan worked." I could hear Megan getting more hysterical in the background. "What do you mean we can't access the money?" "James, you said this was handled." "Oh, and James," I added, unable to resist twisting the knife a little. "You might want to start looking for a way home. Those first-class return tickets you booked, they've been canceled. Coach might be a bit cramped, but I'm sure you and Megan will manage. That is, if you can scrape together enough for the fare." Before he could respond, I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly, but not from fear or anger. It was exhilarating, finally letting James see exactly who he'd underestimated all these years. My phone immediately started buzzing with texts. "You can't do this to me. We need to talk. Please, Becca, just hear me out." I blocked his number without reading anymore. There was nothing left to say. The next few weeks passed in a blur of legal meetings and paperwork. James and Megan had managed to scrape together enough money from her savings to get back from Bermuda in economy class, much to their dismay. They were staying at her studio apartment, a far cry from the luxury resort they planned on. Word got out quickly about what had happened. James's carefully crafted image as a successful entrepreneur crumbled as people learned the truth. His business contacts disappeared, his friends stopped returning his calls, and even his family kept their distance. Karen had been particularly vocal about her disgust with his actions. The divorce proceedings moved swiftly, backed by overwhelming evidence of James's fraud. He didn't even try to contest it. He couldn't. Not with the mountain of proof I had gathered. His only attempt at negotiation came through his lawyer, asking if I would consider dropping the fraud charges in exchange for a quick settlement. I declined. 1 month after James's failed escape attempt, I sat in my lawyer's office, reviewing the final divorce agreement. The terms were exactly what we pushed for. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, and all our joint assets. James would be paying restitution for the money he'd stolen, along with my legal fees. He's lucky we didn't pursue criminal charges, Angela said, watching me sign the papers. The evidence we had could have put him behind bars. I set down the pen and sat back, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. The loss of his reputation, his comfortable lifestyle, and every penny he tried to steal is punishment enough. Besides, I hear Megan left him last week. Apparently, living in a tiny apartment with no access to the luxury lifestyle he promised wasn't what she signed up for. Angela laughed, shaking her head. Men like James never learn. They think they're so clever, but they can't see past their own egos. You, on the other hand, she gestured at the paperwork spread across her desk. You play this perfectly. That evening, I walked through my house, legally and officially now, and felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Every room held memories, but they no longer hurt. I'd taken back control of my life in a way James never saw coming. My phone buzzed with a text from Karen. Had dinner with James today. He's miserable. Serves him right. Hope you're doing well. I smiled, taking back a quick reply. Karen had become an unexpected ally through all of this, choosing to stand by me rather than support her brother's deception. It was nice to know that some family ties were stronger than blood. 6 months later, I was sitting in my office reviewing quarterly reports. Much like I had been on the day James tried to steal our savings. But everything was different now. I was different. A notification popped up on my phone. A news alert about James. He'd been hired as a junior sales associate at a local car dealership. Quite a step down from his dreams of being a successful entrepreneur living the high life in Bermuda. I closed the alert without reading further. James's life wasn't my concern anymore. I had my own future to focus on, one that I had protected through careful planning and quiet strength. My assistant Sarah knocked on my door. Your 3 o'clock is here. The new client looking for investment advice? I nodded, gathering my papers. Send them in. As I prepared to meet with my client, I couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Here I was still doing what I'd always done, helping people protect and grow their assets. The only difference was that now everyone knew I practiced what I preached. The story of how I'd outmaneuvered my husband's attempt to steal my life savings had spread through professional circles, earning me a reputation as someone who didn't just understand money. I understood how to protect it. My client list had grown significantly, particularly among women looking to secure their financial futures. That evening, as I drove home to my peaceful house, I thought about how differently things could have turned out if I hadn't trusted my instincts. If I hadn't started planning the moment I first suspected James's betrayal. I pulled into my driveway, the security lights welcoming me home. My phone buzzed one last time, another blocked call from James. I declined it without a second thought. He'd lost the right to my attention the moment he decided to betray me. Inside, I poured myself a glass of wine and settled onto my patio, watching the sunset just like I had the night James left. But this time, there was no uncertainty, no waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was exactly where I wanted to be, in control of my life and my future. James had thought he was writing the end of our story when he drained that joint account. Instead, he'd only succeeded in showing me exactly how strong I could be. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about moving forward and thriving on your own terms. And that's exactly what I had done.